the Everything But Politics podcast.
Welcome back to another edition of the Everything But Politics podcast. My name is Merrick Leeser alongside Ethan and Evan Leeser, and I've been super pumped up for this episode. I've been thinking about it all day. The great Vic Keller joining us from Mexico. Vic, thanks so much for being here. It's great to see you and excited to have you on our show. Welcome.
Man, thank you so much. I'm excited to be with you guys and been looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, so have we. Well, let's get right into it, Vic. I've been a big admirer of yours and your work, and really your positive, enthusiastic message. You live abundantly. So with that abundant mindset, I want to ask you, why is right now the greatest time ever to be an entrepreneur?
Man, it is, first of all, I don't know how you knew that, except that I say that basically every day to everyone. There's so many reasons. And I think the main reason it is the best time to be an entrepreneur on earth is because if you want to be an entrepreneur, there are a lot of people sleeping and they're not taking advantage of all the tools and all the resources. And really, as much as we talk about the economy and the challenges in the economy is perfectly positioned right now to be an entrepreneur. So first and foremost, I would just say there's never been a better time because the infrastructure is set up to be a great entrepreneur. But secondarily, which is what I get most excited about as a 50-year-old guy, is that time is compressed. Time is compressed. If you know how to use the technology, the resources, and this extraordinary amount of tools that we have available to us right now, you can do anything. You can do anything. If you just, of course, when I say that, everybody immediately starts thinking about AI, and AI is obviously a huge part of the equation. But, I've said recently that I wish I was 20 years younger because, I think that 20 years after I'm gone from this earth is going to continue to be an unbelievable time for technology. But that being said, I think that we all just picked up the greatest longevity hack ever in the sense of you can do so much in such a short period of time. So the playing field has been leveled. I mean, you can literally create code. You can, in just no time at all with vibe coding, you could build the most complex marketing funnels that exist. Anybody and everybody can hold their phone up, they can get online, and they can talk to the world. So think about it. From ideation, you have so much innovation, so much creativity that you can just exercise right now because you have the technological tools and resources. And then ultimately, you've got this great medium to communicate with people. But I think is what you have more than anything is, and this is not the most encouraging thing I'm going to say today, but more than anything, you have a lot of people that are just resting, that are not driven, that are not motivated, that are not fired up. But if you have tenacity and you want to build something right now, or you want to be part of building something, the good news is you have the ability to run faster than ever before. You have more tools and resources than you've ever had in your life. And ultimately, you've got a lot of people that just aren't paying attention from what I can tell.
That's a great answer.
Yeah, I love that.
But something that you mentioned that when I was getting ready for this podcast, the thing that really stood out to me is what you just said is the time compression and compressing time. I've never heard anyone say that, and it is very true, especially with things like AI. But outside of AI, what are some other real life examples that time compression comes into play? Because you don't hear that often.
Yeah, I think time compression comes into play not just with technology, but also with knowledge and information in general. I mean, we live in an amazing, amazing time for people to learn. And if you think about, podcast, you think about audiobooks, you think about YouTube, you think about modern education. And again, I'm going to bring AI back into it because AI is a great platform for people to learn anything they want to know. I mean, you can literally be a doctor, you can be an attorney, you can be a technologist, you could be a rocket scientist. You just have education at your fingertips. So, technology is amazing, and it's really the catalyst, but the catalyst of time being compressed, and really having the opportunity to do anything you want to build a business today is around the accessibility and the availability of knowledge. I mean, if you have an internet connection today, think about how much you can learn, right? You don't have to go to an Ivy League school. You don't have to have, 100 mentors at your fingertips. They don't hurt, right? So
No.
that experience and practical, knowledge and situational awareness is valuable. But I think technology is the catalyst, but it's the catalyst of knowledge. Knowledge is what compresses time.
This episode of the Everything But Politics podcast is sponsored by Brick House Coffee Co.
For all my dark coffee lovers out there, Brick House Coffee has got you covered. Their black is a rich, bold profile for those who enjoy a bold cup with notes of dark chocolate. Now back to the show.
Speaking of education and time management, for the high schooler who's thinking about college, what are the pros and cons of going to college versus just learning everything you need to learn online at home?
And saving the money not going to college.
Yeah. Well, let me give you the pros. The first pro is it's a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well
it's a hell of a
said.
lot of fun. I
Well
mean,
said.
so, if you want the pros, I mean, I went to college and I was there for 4 years and I had more fun than a person's probably allowed to. Now, I worked I worked two part-time jobs, which equaled one full-time job. I met my wife while I was in college. I accomplished a lot in college, but I have to tell you, I don't think that I learned a lot in college. And the main reason for me is just the way I'm wired, what I'm fired up about, what gets me excited is really not taught. I would say it wasn't taught when I was in college at a institutional level, from what I could tell. So the the pros are the life experience. The pros are the
Totally.
camaraderie. I mean, we all need community. And let me just tell you, if you go to college and you can't build community, you need to switch schools, right? I mean, it's a great place to have a lot of fun and make a lot of friends. So that's the pros. Listen, the cons are that, time's not infinite. And if you go to college for 4 years just to check a box and you think, hey, I'm just gonna, go to school, I'm gonna learn, gonna get the degree, I'm gonna put it up on the wall. I mean, that's fantastic. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that from an accomplishment perspective, but it's 4 years of your life. By the way, my college roommate was there for 8 years, right? I mean, he was having too much fun. So, it's not. I think that if the college education system changed to where we had, 2-year programs that gave you the same benefit of a 4-year program, that might be a really good idea. I think a lot more people would go to college, and I think the compression of knowledge would happen. College is inefficient. It's a highly inefficient process, right? I mean, it's just, the whole thing about it's inefficient. And if you think about going to school today at a university, how much of what you learn in a classroom could you learn not having to commute back and forth to class and learn independently? Again, the collaboration, the communities, the relationship that you build are gold. So maybe a hybrid model works, but I would just say, look, if you want to be a doctor, potentially if you want to be an engineer, but a lot of great engineers that we know of in today's world actually didn't go to college. But there's some specialized fields that going to college makes a lot of sense. But if you want to be an entrepreneur, or you want to be a generalist in business, or you want to be, a world-class executive salesperson, I just don't know that college is the right fit for you.
Yeah, I think that's a topic that's really with AI ramping up at the pace it is, that conversation will only, you're going to hear more of that conversation. Is college worth it? So, Vic, I want to change gears. So, a term that we hear a lot in society today is serial entrepreneur. And it's certainly overused, but I don't think that applies when it comes to you because you've founded 17 companies, you've sold 9. So I want you to speak on when it comes to the sale of 9 companies, it ain't over till it's over. Don't count your eggs before they hatch.
Yeah, I mean, that's the truth. The first part of your question is, serial entrepreneur. I don't know that saying you're a serial entrepreneur is a badge of honor. I think that it's an interesting point. But saying you're a serial entrepreneur, there are a lot of guys that are extraordinary entrepreneurs that have done one thing really, really well for a season of time, a good season of time, that have built extraordinary wealth and have built highly impactful businesses. So, being a serial entrepreneur in a lot of sense means that you've done a lot of different things. I fall into that category. I love that there's no guardrails around being an entrepreneur. However, I will tell you that anytime I've been able to vertically integrate into an industry, so maybe if I started a company in an industry and I've been able to start additional businesses that support that industry where I could compound leverage and knowledge and people into those businesses, that's been really, really good. So, building a business and exiting a business are two very different things. Rarely do people, more today than ever before, but rarely do people build a business and they think about the exit, right? Most people that become entrepreneurs, they just want to be independent. They want freedom. They want creativity. And I'll tell you something that's interesting about being an entrepreneur is entrepreneurs love the mystery, right? We don't always know consciously, but subconsciously, we love the mystery. We don't know what the hell's going to happen, right? I mean, you're just out there swinging and trying, and no matter how smart you are, there's no guarantees. So there's a lot of mystery that's in it. But I fall in love with every business I start. Like I fall in love, and if I can't fall in love with a business, it means I shouldn't start it. And it's not the business, it's the people, it's the infrastructure, it's creating the brand, it's taking it to market, right? That for me is like the coolest thing in the world. I've been married for 29 years and I have a really forgiving wife. Most people can't say that they've started 17 companies and been married for 29 years. The two don't go together very well, right? And so, you better make sure you marry right. But my wife knew I was an entrepreneur when she met me. But listen, I think the term serial entrepreneur is fair. It's reasonable. It's certainly something that represents what I've done. But again, in today's world, you can build a business for, 10, 15, 20 years that just has a compounding return. And I think in a lot of regards, it's a lot smarter to be focused on one business than it is to have entrepreneurial ADD like I do and do many different things.
Well, with that entrepreneurial ADD, how do you compartmentalize?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I don't think I do. I don't think I compartmentalize. I don't think I think I'd like to be able to compartmentalize at times, but you take a day, today's a great example. I mean, I've worked in 5 different industries and in 5 different companies today. And, that started at about 6:30 this morning. And, it's, we're recording this here at about 5:30 my time. And I'm still going. And I know a couple things I'm going to accomplish when, we wrap up our conversation still to go. So I don't think, compartmentalization of businesses and compartmentalization of business versus family and personal is something I've never been good at. I just try to integrate everything together. And I will tell you, there's not always perfect harmony, right? There's not always perfect harmony, but that's what you're looking for is harmony. And you can learn a lot by working in different industries. And you can have a lot of crossover into different companies from that. But I don't, I'm just, I have to tell you, if I'm having a bad day, uh, I'm not an expert at not taking that challenging mindset to my next meeting and my next meeting, right? So I think the whole concept of compartmentalization is potentially a little bit overrated.
Got it.
Vic, of the 9 companies that you've exited, how many of them were planned exits, or did they kind of just happen naturally?
Yeah, every business that I've founded that I've had
Mhm.
the opportunity to exit has been because somebody wanted to own it more than I wanted to keep it. But to answer the question, I've never strategically or surgically thought about exiting a business. I've really spent most of my time building up businesses, and the phenomenon of building a business to sell it is relatively new. It's relatively new. And I think it's still debatable. If you're building a business, I think you want to build it with the architecture and the framework that it's a durable business and it's a business that can convey to a new owner. But man, it's hard to get deeply passionate about a business and to truly know what you need to do to build a business if you're always spending your time and your energy and your effort thinking about exiting that business. So um, I I would say that at no point in time was I building a business to think about exiting it. I am building a business right now that I do think that an exit is gonna happen for sure. I mean, conceivably, I'm gonna exit all businesses because at some point God's gonna take me off this earth.
Sure.
And that's gonna happen. But I am building a business or two today that an exit is a little bit more of a known fact. And I think that's just come with age and maturity and being in business. But the way that I build a business today is very different than when I built a business when I was 23, 24 years old. I mean, it's very, very different. And the difference is that I have the knowledge, the wisdom, and the experience to understand what's going to make a business sustainable. I see so many people that build businesses today, and these businesses, they look like a souffle. And I don't know if you've ever cooked a souffle, but if you cook
No.
a souffle, well, you should try it sometime. It's an interesting exercise. And
Okay.
so if you cook a souffle, that's a thing that puffs up and gets really big, right? If you're taking that thing out of the oven and it gets bumped on the edge of the oven, the whole thing just falls apart.
Mm.
It's not durable, right? A
Mhm.
souffle by nature is not durable. You've got to be very careful. And I see a lot of people in business today, and they're building businesses that are like a souffle. And they're very fragile, and 100% of the business is built on the founder or the operator's adrenaline. And if you're going to build a business today that you want to sell and you want to get the most enterprise value for that business, and you want it to just be durable, even if it's for you guys all work in a family business, right?
Yep.
And so you guys probably aren't sitting around every day thinking about selling the company, right? Your
No.
dad was thinking about, some days you may think about it, but your dad was thinking about building a legacy, right? So if you think about if you're going to build a business that's a legacy business, or you're going to build a business that you want to sell, the reality of it is that you need to build the same durable business, right? You need to build it fundamentally and structurally the same so it's durable. So, um, building a business today is opportunistic. Building the business the right way is where the really big opportunity resides.
And so, like I said, when I was getting ready for this, a word that I constantly kept coming across with you was durable. Where did that word, when did that word become such a part of your vocabulary?
Durability came to me because I had built businesses that I didn't feel like were tremendously durable. And I was trying to communicate more, I think, complex terms. And I really started thinking about, I, I love to build businesses that have huge enterprise value, right? And so, meaning they're authentically worth a lot of money. And if you think about and the market wants it, right? You don't have to push your product on people. They're pulling your product from you. And that's one of the disciplines of building a durable business is the way that your product gets distributed to market. And so for me, I really started thinking about what is the terminology? What am I trying to do? And everything came back to durability, right? I want my team to be durable. I want our processes to be durable. I want the way we go to market to be durable. I want the way we strategically identify what the site picture of the business is, right? Who are we internally and who are we to our customers? I want it to be durable. I don't want to always have to change who we are, right? You can evolve, you can iterate, but I wanted to be constant in who we are. And so for me, just one day, I think, the term came to my mind that we're really trying to build something that's durable. And it's a term that is simple, and it's a lot simpler. Listen, I had the privilege of working with I don't want to say working with, I had the privilege of studying one of the greatest business legends ever, right? And I really looked at the businesses that he acquired. And some of those happen to be businesses that I founded. And as I studied those businesses, a lot of people talk about how a business has a moat around it. A lot of people talk about, how a business has got great market demand. And I really started looking at what the fundamental characteristic is of these businesses that attract the best acquirer of companies in the world. And I came back to durability. They're durable. You guys agree with that?
I do. It's something I heard you say is that forget being recession proof, you want to be depression proof.
Yeah, I didn't coin that phrase. I read years ago that Mr. Buffett had made a comment during one of his annual meetings, which if you haven't been to, you need to go. Everybody should go to a Berkshire Hathaway annual meeting. They're unbelievable. Mr. Buffett's retired, so I don't know if he'll be at the next one, but certainly is what I'll tell you is that there's some profound wisdom that come from he and Charlie Munger, and Mr. Munger is since passed, but one of the things that he said in one of those annual meetings is if you think you're building a business that is recession proof and that's good, really try to build a business that's depression proof. And that hit with me, right? I would say that falls in the framework of durability.
I would agree.
Vic, how many times have you been to that event?
4.
And what's the greatest piece of wisdom you've acquired from that?
Oh, man. Oh, man. The Berkshire Hathaway annual meeting is profound. So you've got an arena. Think about this. You've got an arena in Omaha, Nebraska, with tens of thousands of people in this arena that all own Berkshire Hathaway Class A or Class B stock. It's the only way you can get to the meeting. This isn't just a shareholder meeting or where most people don't show up to a shareholder meeting that own publicly traded stocks, but people show up and it's an event. It is an enthusiastic event. So people show up in this big arena, Omaha, Nebraska. Historically, you've got Mr. Buffett, you've got Mr. Munger. Today, you've got Mr. Abel. You've got this amazing, amazing leadership team that are sitting at a table on display in front of tens of thousands of people that are talking about everything that's going on in these amazing businesses they have. And by the way, they're not talking about all the wins. They've got losses too. They've got challenges. They've got the deal. So I think the thing that I've learned the most from that meeting is that when you have shareholders, when you have stakeholders that really care about the business, they care enough about the business that they travel from all over the world. They travel from all over the world, over 100 countries, to go to a meeting in Omaha, Nebraska, to hear the leadership team talk about what's going on in the business. And let me tell you, those are more than shareholders, right? Those are enthusiastic people that they're part of a community. They're part of the Berkshire community. It's funny. You go to that meeting and you start to see a lot of the brands that Berkshire either owns or invests in. And, one of the brands that they have is Brooks running shoes. And if you haven't ever worn a pair of Brooks running shoes, they're tremendously comfortable. But you've got people walking around in suits and khakis and jeans and everything else, and it doesn't matter what they're wearing. They've got their Brooks running shoes on, right? So it's not a fashion event, but, and then Mr. Buffett loves See's candy, and that's a great story. So you got plenty of See's candy, right? So it's amazing. And by the way, if you're a shareholder in a business, if you invest in a business, I just can't encourage people enough to get to know that business and invest in businesses that you can get to know, right? Investing in businesses that are far, that are remote, that you can't see, that you can't engage with, that you're just looking at data distantly from, man, those are not the companies that I would invest in, not just because it feels a little bit scary not being able to, you guys are in the real estate business. It's great being able to see and feel and touch these assets, but you can't always do that in publicly traded events. You can't always do it in private. But if you can't get close to the leadership, if you can't call and ask questions, I would just say that's tough, right? And if you look at companies that have annual meetings. And by the way, if you're not an investor, say you're a young person that's thinking about investing, or you don't have the money yet to invest and you don't really know where to put your money, you can listen to these annual meetings. You can get online, you can listen to them, you can watch them, you can read the 10Ks, you can go through so much. And, this is not, what's the word I'm looking for? This is not something where it's simulation. This isn't simulation. This is real business, right? So we get on social media, we get on all these different platforms, and we hear a lot about, philosophy and fiction and people posturing. Study businesses that don't have simulation. They're real live, in action things that are happening. And I tell people all the time that, you know, if you have to trust something and you can't verify it, if you have to trust it and you can't verify it, you probably shouldn't trust it, right? And so, verification is a very important part of making an investment, and you need to have access to these companies.
What's up, guys? One podcast, one song every week. Podcast on Mondays, music on Fridays. Check it out.
Well said. I'm gonna look into that. I've seen clips of him and Munger on the internet, but I've never sat down and watched a full. What would you call that? Not a press conference, but
Yeah, it's an investor meeting. But
Okay.
it's an investor meeting. Listen, watching Charlie Munger at a Berkshire investor meeting is a good percentage of the time is better than seeing any comedian you could ever see in your life. I mean, the guy's a profound intellect. He's one of the smartest humans ever made, right? I mean, he's brilliant and he's absolutely hilarious. He's brash. And then you've got, Mr. Buffett sitting there, drinking his Diet Coke and eating his, I think he's drinking his cherry Coke, I should say, and eating his C's peanut brittle. It's an event. So listen, if you can't go, watch it. You can watch it online. I know that it's broadcasted everywhere, but it's worth the time.
We definitely will.
Yeah. And in terms of at this point and throughout your life, when it comes to learning and staying on top of trends and new information, where do you find the most valuable information that you apply to your life and to your businesses?
The Bible.
I like that.
I mean, I would say the Bible. And if you want me to go beyond the Bible, um, I love learning from people. I love learning from people. As a young man, I wanted to learn from successful people. My whole passion has been, my dad always told me, learn from my mistakes. And I thought, you know what? I'm not going to strategically wait for your next mistake to learn from it. But as what I am going to do is try to find people that have been really successful, and I'm going to try to emulate what's made them successful. And today, you have so much access to learn from amazing people. There's so much education. And look, I mean, I love to read books. I love to. I really enjoy reading books, but I also, love to listen to audiobooks. I love to spend a lot of time. I love to spend a lot of time watching YouTube videos, but unfortunately, I don't have a lot of time to do that. But, if I could pick anything to do, on a Sunday afternoon, it's to watch a YouTube. But right now, I am just like fired up about everything that's happening with AI. And, we all can be users of AI. Most people that I think refer to AI, they think of like Chat GPT or Claude or, Gemini or whatever it is. But right now we have so much amazing technology that's happening that's highly applicable. I mean, you can literally go into Cursor, you can go into Claude Code. Now you've got bots with OpenClaw that you can go to and create your own bot. I mean, it is unbelievable what you can do. I'm a sales and marketing and brand guy at heart, and I've all of a sudden, in my own way, feel like a computer scientist because I'm learning so much and being able to learn this and put it into action. And hey, let me just be transparent. I have amazing teams of people that I love to work with, but sometimes I just want to get things done and I don't want to have to rely on a person, right? And so the cool thing with technology today, and specifically with AI, you can get a lot done. And I hope that that's freeing up margin for the people that work in my businesses, and that they're doing the same thing, so we can think about how we can innovate, how we can grow, and what we can do next. But, you can't replace a good book. And I read if I'm going to read a good book, which usually I'm listening to books. So I go on walks and I'll listen to books. I listen to them over and over and over, because I really want to retain the information. But I mean, I just got done with the autobiography of Jeff Bezos.
Mm,
And, I think it's called Invent and Wander. And just an absolutely amazing, amazing book. And you can learn so much, and people are willing to share. I mean, what we're doing right now, um, people that have had any success, I think most people that have had success, the only reason we've had success is because we've had the privilege to learn from other people that have been successful, and we've been able to add value in environments where we've been handsomely rewarded. And so, I just love the practical application that you're able to get from all the resources that are out there today that you're able to put into action right away.
beautiful.
Mhm.
Well thought out answer there.
Yeah, no doubt.
So going back to so you mentioned that learning from other people's mistakes. So with that said, what's a mistake you've made in business that you could share with us so we don't have to make the same mistake?
I don't know that they're mistakes, but I'm certain I've made mistakes in both of these categories. But these are lessons that I wish I would have learned even earlier. And I learned one of them really early and one of them a little later. But first and foremost, there is nothing in business that's more important than people. The minute you put product or technology over people, if you put anything over people, um, you're going to end up in a tough spot. And that may sound very simplistic. It may just sound like, yeah, of course. I mean, people are on the earth and this is what we do and where we live. But the reality is, I see so many people in business. And I think early on, I wanted to be very successful in business. And I tell a story, and I'll give you the super short version of it. But I had a guy I was working with come in my office one day and he said, Vic, you're 110%, or you give everything, you give every bit of what you have to everything that you do, and therefore it's all about you. And you carry a lot of weight because you think you're more committed to it than anyone else. And look, I was an entrepreneur trying to find my own way. That wasn't untrue. I was working really hard, and I don't think there was anybody working as hard as me. But he explained to me what the power is of other people. And instead of me focusing on trying to multiply myself and do everything in the world that was all about me, that I could take that same energy and I could put it into other people and develop and grow them. And even if they were given 90% and not 110%, take 10 of them. That's 900% versus my 100%. And I say that all the time. I feel like it's on repeat, but that's one of the most valuable things I've ever learned is don't make it about me, right? Don't make it about me. And if I'm building something that's dependent on me, then it's not going to have a multiplication factor because, people fatigue, people get tired, right? And so that leads me into the second thing, and that is systems and processes, documented systems and processes are not something that most creative entrepreneurs gravitate to. And I can tell you as a young professional building businesses, I was just go, 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 man. I wanted to do everything. And I was not sitting around thinking about, of course I had goals, right? I mean, when I was 24 years old, I mean, I had that Ferrari Testarossa written across the top of the page and, I want a Rolex. And I mean, I had some goals, right? I want to get a house and a swimming pool. And I had those things. But in my business, we had some goals, but we really didn't have systems and processes. And today, it's so easy to leverage technology to put systems and processes in place that allow you to continue to iterate and refine your business. So is what I would say is, you don't have to over document, but professionalize your business, professionalize what you do, whatever you're doing in life, professionalize it. And what I had a guy that I worked with for a long time, and he used to say, think big, think big, think big. And so, I've always thought big. I wanted to be big. I mean, to this day, I'm still chasing Elon, right? I'm thinking big. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to make it to the Mars, but I'm going to die trying, right? So, my point is think big, but the reality of it is thinking big is conceptual.
Mm.
Acting bigger, being professional, being someone that truly is building and is leveraging tools and resources, that's acting bigger. And it doesn't cost anything to professionalize a business. It doesn't cost anything to treat people the very best. It doesn't cost anything to act like a professional yourself. It doesn't cost anything to respect people. It doesn't cost anything to do so many things that are the most important things as you're building your life and you're building a business. So I would just say, don't just dream, do,
Mm.
and never forget the three most important things ever are people, people, and people.
Love that.
Amen.
Vic, when you speak on systems, I feel like it's such a vague term. Can you kind of explain for the two businesses that you currently have, and you're talking about how there's a potential, or there will be an exit plan down the line? What are the two systems for each company that is put in place so when you leave, the company runs and flows smoothly?
Well, I would say the first system is, again, and I know this isn't exactly what you're asking, but
Yeah.
the first system is that the people in the business don't need me to be successful, right? The business
Understood.
is deleveraged from me. It's not about me. So if I, heaven forbid something happens to me tomorrow, these businesses should still be able to function and operate. And listen, that scares me sometimes because I'm an all-in entrepreneur, right? And so I think that the people are number one. I mean, you have to have people that they know what their responsibilities are, they know what their roles are. But from a systems perspective, look, we have amazing workflows in our companies, and in some regards, we use very simple tools like Notion. I don't know if you guys have used Notion, but I love Notion. It's a very nice tool that you can use to track project management and systems. I would say it's tremendously remedial. It's got a chat bot built into it. You don't even know how to use it. You can just talk to it in regular terms and it does what you need it to do. It's amazing how it knows what you're saying. But whether it be your ERP, whether it be having, more complex things like EDIs in place on how orders happen or don't happen, but we try to automate and systemize as much as we can in our business. And it's the goal there is really not to take the human out, but it's to free up. It's to free up the creative, unique thinking that only the humans can do. So, I would say that having a business that leverages technology and you have processes for everything that you do really creates an environment where you can always iterate and get better, right? You can always understand where the scoreboard is. I mean, for history, the scoreboard of success professionally has been a financial statement, right? It's been, hey, what's the where's your revenue at? Where are your margins at? Where are you getting operating leverage? What's your EBITDA? What's your net income? What's your gross profit? What are your gross sales? I mean, all these analytics and metrics that we study. But in most businesses that I go into, and I've got a business that we go into companies that are doing anywhere between $2 and $50 million a year in profitability, and we help those businesses get ready for an exit. We help them get ready to sell. And I have to tell you, I walk into businesses where you have amazing operators and you have amazing teams, but they haven't built the durability. The durability is not there and they don't have that structure in place. And so, it could be all the way from HR practices. It could be obviously financial acuity, financial responsibility. It could be manufacturing disciplines, but there's just a lot of businesses that are amazing companies, but here's what they don't have. And this is what any buyer that buys a business wants more than anything. They don't want a vision. They don't want a dream. They don't want aspirations. They want predictability. They want a business that's going to be predictable. If it's dependent on the art of the people that are there, you're not going to get nearly as much for it as you could if it was predictable. So when you're building an asset, when you're building a business, you want to build it in a format that has ultimate predictability. And the way to get predictability in a business largely is by having organizational management and structure in place that are able to drive the scalability of growth in the business. And you have a plan for how those tools and processes will allow you to grow.
Vic, do you have a favorite business that you've started?
Yes. Yeah.
What is it?
All of them. All of
Oh,
them.
I
Yeah,
like
all of
it.
them. Yeah, all of them. No,
The next
I've
one.
got listen, I've got businesses everywhere. I'm gonna give you 2.
Okay.
So, right now, me and one of my great, great friends, we're building a business in the, personal care product space. And if you don't know what that is, that's well, if you don't know what that is, that might be a problem. But it's think shampoos and conditioner for my hair, think deodorant, think body wash,
Yep.
think those products. But we're building a company right now, and it is a blast. It's called Fresh Western, and I'm just having so much fun because we just had the idea a year and a half ago, and and I'll tell you what's most fun for me about building businesses is who I get to build them with, right?
Mhm.
And now I look at when I think about businesses and what I wanna do, one of the things I think about is who do I get to build this with? And so, in this case, I'm building this business with just a great friend and a great guy, and we have a big plan, and it's pretty exciting. So that company's called Fresh Western, and a lot of fun. And then a business that I've just been around for the last 20 years that I love is I love the car wash industry.
Yep.
I love it. I own a company that manufactures car wash equipment. We have another company that manufactures the soap and the chemistry of the car wash equipment. We also own the service and maintenance and installation of car wash equipment. But if you have that entire infrastructure in place and you really love the industry, you're not just going to be a supplier to the industry, you're going to be a consumer to the industry. And so I'm building car washes all over the place. And I love to build car washes that I personally own, but I'm also helping other people build car washes. And if you want to build a car wash today, it's a tough process. You've got to call a manufacturer, you got to call a supplier, you got to call an installer, you've got to go find the land, you've got to get the zoning and entitlements.
Mm.
Then you have to do everything that's operational and organizational in order to get that business to run efficiently. And, outside of making the land, we have the entire supply chain. So I'm just excited because I love to put people that have an entrepreneurial spirit in businesses and see them just fall in love with a business and build a business. So yeah, that's a super fun business for me. And you asked me if I had one, I'm going to give you 3. The last one is a company that I own called Experience Ventures, and Experience Ventures is a business where we work with companies, as I mentioned before, we work with companies that are considering going to market that want to make sure they have their business built in the most durable way so they can have a very great exit. And when you think about exiting a business and you think about selling a business, some people get compartmentalized to think about what they're going to get for that business. And what you're going to get for a business is important. But let me tell you, an exit of a business and getting a big payday is awesome for an entrepreneur. Let me tell you what I think's even better. And it's hard to believe that something's better. But it's what's better is if that business is sustainable and it continues to last and it continues to grow and it goes on forever. And I love to help people position businesses for sale that are gonna get them, the absolute highest dollar that is conceivably possible. I'm an operator, I know how to do that, but, is what I also love is to help them leave a legacy of a business that nobody wants to, open up the paper one day and hear that they spent 10, 15, 20, 30 years building a business and the new buyer screwed it up, right?
Mm.
And so,
Mhm.
you hear that a lot. People say, "Oh, man, they just screwed the whole business up. They didn't know how to run it." Well, of course they didn't know how to run it like you. They're not you. And
True.
so the responsibility is give them a clean handoff and help them be successful. And that doesn't always happen. And, I can tell you, it's never a good feeling when you own a business and you sell it and you hear about it not being successful.
Oh, well,
Well
thank
said.
you for sharing those. Those
Yeah.
are all good.
That's
But
great.
so Jim Rohn is a man I really like and admire. So I'm sure you're familiar with his work. So something he says about if your goal is to become a millionaire, it's not about becoming a millionaire, but rather the man you have to become in order to achieve millionaire status and become a millionaire. So when you look back at year 20s and on that journey to becoming a millionaire, what were some habits you had to change in your life?
Well, first of all, money, whether you're rich or you're wealthy, and those are very different, by the way.
Okay.
Whether you're rich or you're wealthy, your identity shouldn't reside in dollars, right? That's anybody that has made a lot of money will always tell you that money is fleeting, right? Money's fleeting, and then it certainly buys convenience, and it allows you to do some fun things, and it's good. But I would say that if you're building your identity in what you're working on, as you mentioned Jim Rohn and what he said, and I can tell you one of the greatest students of Jim Rohn ever is a good friend of mine, a guy named Tony Robbins, and Tony is he has really taken what Jim taught and just multiplied, magnified it, and he's an extraordinary businessman himself. But the this sounds so cliche,
Okay.
but if you want to be successful, whether it be financially or whether it be just as a human, I don't think there's any better strategy in life than helping other people win. If you can help other people win, then by nature, the default of that is going to be that you're going to be successful. And you know what? If you help enough people win and you're not successful, trust me, you are going to be fulfilled greatly and you're not going to even realize you weren't successful, right? You won't even know it. And so, being successful is really about helping other people win. And that sounds like a political message, right? It sounds like a canned message. But if you really think through it, if you're in the business, if you're in life of helping other people win, whether it's your faith and you're going to be a great disciple for your faith, whether it's helping people that work with you be successful and grow in what they do, whether it be your employees, and I'll say, in business, if your laser focused goal is on helping your customer, whomever that may be successful and enjoy um, the value proposition that they get from what you provide, you are going to have a durable business and you are going to have a business that thrives and survives. And so that's, I would say that that's number one.
I would imagine a lot of that comes from, at least in your frame of thinking, comes from your faith.
Yeah. I would say that everything in my life comes from my faith, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the way I love my kids, the way I love my wife, the way I love people I work with, the way I love, my landscaper, the way I love my best employee at all. Because let me just tell you, there's nothing more powerful in this world than love. There's
Amen.
nothing. And
Mhm.
if you're someone that doesn't believe that, I really hurt for you. There's nothing more powerful than love. And if I'm sure you guys are young guys, and I'm sure you've loved something before, right? Whether it be a family member, a friend. I mean, if you've experienced love, where
Mhm.
does love come from?
The heart.
I mean, love comes
Yeah,
from the
it's
but think
internal. Comes
think
from
about like where the phenomenon.
comes
You can
from
say,
the
where does intelligence come from? Well, it
mhm.
comes from my brain, right?
Yeah. No, yeah,
Yeah,
it
and
comes from
you say where does love come from? And you could say from your heart, but I mean your heart's a muscle that's, pumping
sure.
blood all day, right? Which I mean I agree, it does come from your heart. We use that figuratively. But
Mhm.
where does love come from?
It comes from
Love
yeah,
comes from God.
yeah,
Love comes from God.
yep, the
If
Heavenly
you've
Spirit.
experienced love, if you've experienced love, you've experienced God. God is
Amen.
love. God is love. And so,
Mhm.
I unfortunately meet people all the time to say, "Hey, I don't believe in God." I say, "Do you believe in love?" They said, "Well, yeah, of course." I'm like, "Well, where the hell do you think love comes from, right?" I mean,
I don't know.
we don't have a love muscle, right? We don't have you don't have like something in your body that's wired for
Uh,
love. Your heart's pumping blood. Love is the Holy Spirit. It's God. I mean, that's where love comes from. So, um, people say, "Vic, that's soft." But I can tell you, like, somebody asked me a couple days ago, I was at a conference and somebody came up to me and they're like, "Tell me, like, what has made you successful? What has made you successful?" And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, well, I didn't go to Harvard, right? My parents, who are awesome, are blue collar workers, right? They love me really well, but I didn't come from money, right? And you know, some of the greatest business guys in the world weren't my best friends. It's not like I sat next to a billionaire on a plane one day and he said, "Hey, I'm going to take you under my wing." It's like, where did it come from? And I, I really believe that my ability to love people
mhm.
is been the reason for my success. And that sounds soft. And I know people are like, "Oh man, I don't know what to do with that." But let me tell you, if you wanna hire the best talent on earth, which by the way, if you're building a business, trust me, you wanna hire the best talent on earth.
Yeah.
If you wanna hire the best talent on earth, love people.
Mm,
Show people love. Now you people like, "Well, hey man, I mean,
mm.
if I've got a dumb idea and I love people, yeah, you're probably just gonna get a new friend. You might not be able to hire him, right? But let me tell you what the best idea in the world looks like without love, right? But if you can love someone, it's great. And let me tell you, 23, 24, 25, 30, 40, 50 years old, it doesn't matter, guys.
Mhm.
I've done things wrong that have pissed off my customers. I've not served customers right. We've made products wrong. I've upset partners. I've made dumb mistakes. But at the end of the day, if you have humility, you have compassion, you have love, people are pretty graceful and forgiving. They're pretty graceful and forgiving. And I think that's the answer key.
Well, for you to go from "Do you believe in God" to "Do you believe in love" is without question one of the most powerful things anyone's ever said on our
Mhm.
show.
No doubt.
That is the rebuttal of all rebuttals.
Well, I love how simply put, but so easy to agree and understand it is. Like, at the same time, like someone like you said, it might sound cliche, but it's so true that it has to be simple.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think God made his love for us complex and complicated. I think God, has a very good understanding that we're gonna make dumb decisions that probably keep us from all being profound intellects. And I think there's a case to say that the smarter you are, the tougher it is for you to understand how dependent you are, correct? And so,
Mhm.
some of my I have some friends that are top theologians, like amazing theologians, and understand the Bible, extraordinarily well. Um, I mean, these people that are they're amazing. I mean, um, but man, I'm so grateful that I don't have to be a theologian and know every book of the Bible and know every verse to have God present in my life, because if
Mhm.
I had to, man, that's a hard book to read, guys.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's a hard book to read, right? I mean, I've made my way through it a few times. Read the Bible in a year, and I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of those pages I read that I don't know what the heck I read, right? It's tough stuff. So, I don't think, even beyond the Bible, I think you have to be cautious of people in the world that try to make things complex and complicated and hard to understand.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like that's a diversion.
I agree. I feel like you said, God, nature, it's simple. It's supposed to be simple. We make it complicated. All the complication, all the division, we do that. The love is simple.
Yeah, I mean, listen, unfortunately, we have some elements in our life that cause us to be greedy, that cause us to be selfish, that cause us, I mean, maybe not you guys, but I can speak for myself. Like, those are all real emotions in my life, right? Those are real things. And, and the reality is they'll take you off course. And, but isn't it amazing how you can course correct and get back?
Oh yeah.
That's the best part.
Yeah.
Isn't it? And yeah, I think every single time, whether you're on the greatest high, if you just won the Super Bowl and you're on the greatest high, you just won the greatest sporting event on earth, you just sold the biggest business, you just got really, really wealthy. If you have an ounce of humility, you know that that's greater than you. That's greater than you. And your dependence on that is greater than you. And it could be people that were in it with you. It could be anything. But boy, time and time again, isn't it beautiful how we hear people say, hey, I just want to thank God. I want to thank Jesus Christ that I just had this victory. Let me tell you something. The people that are at their worst low in their life and feel the most helpless, isn't it amazing how they cling to the same thing? They cling to the same thing. So if you're on your greatest high and you have that humility to know that you didn't make that possible, that that's greater than you, and you're on your lowest low and you know that you're not going to be able to keep going, that you can't fix your problems yourself, that you're not going to do this on your own and your dependence is on God, right? That's just an interesting phenomenon.
No, I'm sure you've seen Indiana Hoosier football, Fernando Mendoza winning the college football championship. Every time he wins, he says, all glory to God. You see it on live television that even the highest of highs, like you said, people are coming to the same place, that love, knowing it's greater than them.
Yeah. So, hey, Fernando's a stud, okay? And he's a stud. And I mean, I love every time they win a game, the guy, when he talks, I think cries. And he's like, I just thank God. I give glory to God. I mean, I love that. And I think it's impactful. But I have to tell you, when they won the national championship and he dropped the F-bomb in front of the free world while he was doing that interview, that made him real. I was like, that made him real, right?
Yeah.
I can tell you, I could drop some F-bombs myself. And so, Fernando said, I'm just expressing myself. And I'm thinking, man, I love that, bro. I get it. So, yeah, but no, listen, that Indiana Hoosier listen, isn't it funny? The Hoosiers, there's some good books and good movies made about the Hoosiers basketball team.
Yeah, baby.
Who would have ever thought? 16-0 national champions. I mean, and everybody on that team. I mean, they said, this is going to be a movie. This is a storybook deal, and so it was pretty cool. What college teams do you guys root for?
So we went to Indiana.
Evan and I went to Indiana.
Yes.
So did our dad. So we're all big Hoosiers.
We're big Hoosiers. And Merrick went to Arizona.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Eric had more fun in college, but Arizona's a lot of fun. Well, that's good. Well, I tell you what, I love seeing Indiana win, and Miami had a little bit too much swagger. So they had a little bit too much. I went to Texas Tech, and I don't know if y'all have heard of it, but it's an Ivy League school like Harvard. It's in Lubbock, Texas, and we had a pretty good football team this year as well, thanks to a great donor that we have, and we got the number 1 pick or it's not even called pick. I don't know what it's called, right? But we got the number one quarterback that's out there coming in next year, and I think Texas Tech's going to be a heck of a football team next year. It is pretty amazing when you're trying to build talent around anything, what money will do for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Vic, I want to circle back to something you said earlier. You said there's a difference between being rich and being wealthy. What did you mean by that? And what is the difference?
So, rich people are usually really loud. They're loud. The rich person is probably standing in front of someone else's plane, someone else's supercar. Maybe, maybe the watch they're wearing isn't really a Rolex or a Patek or whatever it may be. Rich is usually boastful. Rich is usually, in my mind, it's loud. It's look at me, look what I did, look who I am, look what it's
Mhm.
it's very self-driven. Um, Wealthy is quiet.
Hmm.
And as a young man, I had, as I was making my way, I had some multi-billionaire business partners along the way that would partner with me in different businesses. And they were people that had the finest airplanes that money could buy, the most beautiful yachts, big houses. And, they enjoyed the finer things in life, but never did they do it publicly.
Mhm.
Never did they do it publicly. And, I don't really think I've ever had a super wealthy business partner, someone that I've done life with that just flaunts everything they have.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't, if you want to attract great people, I don't believe that people really want to see other people's wealth being flexed. Um,
Mhm.
I think that we fall into that trap with social media, that we pay attention and sometimes it's validation, but it's back to trust but verify. I mean, there's a lot of people that are saying they're worth a lot of money that um, we don't know if it's true or not. And whether it is true or isn't, what's the reason in telling us that?
Mm.
Right? What's the reason? What's the value? I don't think it motivates people. I think there is motivation to communicating that you've been successful. But having somebody over to your beautiful home to have dinner is very different than creating a bunch of photography of your big, beautiful house so everyone can see how big you are.
Mhm.
And I just don't think it's becoming. But by the way, listen, I mean, I'm flesh and blood, and trust me, I mean, when I go get a, a new fun sports car or whatever it may be, I mean, I certainly there's part of me that wants to show that to the world, but I've got a couple sons that are in their 20s that I've taught that you don't live that way. And
Yeah.
let me tell you, if you ever want a great accountability partner, you know, tell your kids what not to do and then do it. They're going to let you know. And so, uh, so I'm not doing it because they'll just call me out on it. And the other reason is, and the other reason is that you know, if you live a life that's all about everything you have, what happens if you lose it all?
Mm.
Like, there's no insurance in that. The greatest insurance of being wealthy is not letting everybody know you're wealthy because if something changes financially, things can happen. Some people make a lot of money by accident and they lose a lot of money by accident. It happens. But why would you set yourself up on that pedestal to where your identity is being taken away
Mhm.
based on what you had versus who you are?
They
Why would you
say
do that?
they say the best things in life are not things.
It's true, and, when I was a young man, my parents always said, "You'll understand when you're older," and by the way, there are a lot of things they said that about that I still don't understand, but I'm not gonna tell them, right?
Yeah.
But the reality is, as you get older, you realize the most important things that you can have. I mean, listen, money, success, wealth, uh, there's nothing wrong with any of that. I mean, it
Mhm.
buys convenience, it buys opportunity, it allows you to it's all good. But at the end of the day, and, if you had your final day to live and you knew it was your final day, but the only way it was gonna be your final day is if you gave up every single thing you had so you could go tell everybody that you know, that you care about, that you love them. Would you give up everything you have for that one more day to go tell everybody that you loved them? I mean, of course you would. You're not gonna be here anymore. What is
Yeah.
that stuff worth when you're gone? It
Nothing.
has no value, right?
Yeah.
You're done. You're done. I mean, like they say, there's no U-Haul behind the hearse.
You can't
And
bring it with
so,
you.
I mean, it ain't coming with you, right? So
Uh-huh.
the reality is if, we don't know how long we're gonna live. And
Mhm.
so, if your passion and your identity is all about things and wealth and money and, you know, that man, that could be really scary if you find out that you're late. And we're not all fortunate enough to know when our life's gonna end.
Mhm.
Yep.
Very true. Very true. Vic, what is your final word of advice for young entrepreneurs finding their way?
Final advice for young entrepreneurs that are finding their way. Wow. You are in the best time in the history of the world to build something amazing. Like, if you're a young entrepreneur right now, the world is your oyster, right? So, is what I'm gonna tell you is learn how learn knowledge. Number one's knowledge. Number one is gain knowledge. Knowledge is power. We have so much focus on inspiration and motivation, which are awesome, but knowledge is power. Gain knowledge. And then the other thing I would say is you need to be massively passionate about what you're building. If you are passionate about what you're building and what you're building, you believe that it's innovative, that it's exciting, that it's going to deliver value to the marketplace, that it's going to correct pain points that businesses or individuals have, or it's going to provide them with luxury and convenience. If you can create that type of a business, here's what the coolest thing in the world is. You're going to attract the best talent that you could ever attract. But if you just have a job for someone or you're just functionally doing something, no matter how much you pay someone, their speed of passion is not going to be any greater than yours. So, whatever you're doing, do it in a way that it's big and it's exciting and
Mhm.
dream big and think big. And you'll find yourself getting the greatest people to work along your side. In some cases, for under market value because they want to be a part of something special. And then as you're selling your products or services to your customers, they're going to live off your contagious enthusiasm. And if you think today about the influencer market, why are influencers so popular when it comes to products? And it's you don't see an influencer advertising the next energy drink with a frown on their face and pissed off, right? They're excited, they're positive, right? And so that's why we like them is where they're selling it with enthusiasm. Well, let me tell you, if you're an entrepreneur, the greatest influencer you can ever hire in your life to grow your business is yourself. It's you. There is nothing more powerful when it comes to building a business than you. You're number one. So, is what I would tell you is make sure what you're doing is something that you can be courageously and ferociously passionate about and fired up about because you're going to attract the right talent and you're going to attract the right customers and it's going to be a ton of fun. And so, gain the knowledge to do it. And we're in 2026. And I can't wait 20 years from now to look back and watch this conversation with you guys.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to tell you, I am not going to take back that I said 2026 right now. and I think it's going to last for several years, is the greatest time to build a business. And the field has been leveled for those that want it.
Vic, your energy is contagious. I'm like, all right, I'm excited for what's ahead. I'm excited for this episode to be published. Can't thank you enough for taking the time to sit with us, join us on Everything But Politics, and share your years of wisdom and experience. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Vic.
Very much.
Man, it was my honor. I love what you guys are doing. Three brothers having conversations, just so cool. And I would tell you guys, keep doing what you're doing. And, Joe Rogan needs to watch out. Joe, there's three of you guys. Think about that. There's three of you. You've got leverage, and Joe's just one guy. And I think you might be a little bit younger. So you guys keep doing what you're doing. Thanks for having me, and God bless you and your families.